everyone! Hope you're having a great day. So, one thing I really wanted to talk about and share about today is really the profound impact of, this time during this pandemic on pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum experience. So, my baby was born in August, and March through August and still continuing into now, as I know you're definitely feeling, it really kind of suddenly struck as this strong wave of just anxiety, and we've all experienced anxiety before, right? But this was sort of a different type of anxiety, possibly even reminiscent of some past life stuff for me, which is also, a reason why a lot of these things can be really triggering for a lot of people. I think the biggest thing for me during my pregnancy was anxiety over fear. And not even necessarily fear of getting sick, that of course that's part of it during a pandemic, but the more pressing fear to me is just the fear of scarcity, or the fear of not being able to have the things that we needed during this time. Of course, everyone is concerned about illness, the possible effects, everything like that, of course. So I don't even really want to talk about that, because I feel like that's just totally a universal concern. But, really this feeling like, all of the external things that I relied upon for support during my pregnancy, my birth experience, my postpartum experience, really were quickly unavailable to me. And, that was really scary. I feel like it was just this big, it was really a blow. It really was reminiscent of a lot of loss for me. I feel like it was a loss of the pregnancy experience that I really desired and that I, came to feel really good about. And especially, losing a sense of community, losing a sense of support. These things almost felt like a mourning of the experience that I really craved or wanted to have. So, I also sort of thought about how this experience was really a lot like, when I lived across the country for my entire family. My first two babies were born in Florida, and we were alone with them all the time, and we were a one-car family, so we didn't really get to go a ton of places and do the things that we do now, because we have so many more things in our community that are available to us. So it really kind of went back and reminded me of that experience, of that separation, the isolation, and just the craving, desire, and need for support and community and connection with other people that, especially in pregnancy and postpartum, these are things that we are intrinsically, intuitively, emotionally primed for in our primal being, that we need these things during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. It's part of our makeup, and it's part of our hormones, and it's difficult to defy that biology, right? So I had to go through a really significant process of reframing these feelings. How was I going to cope with this? How was I going to cope with being isolated from my support network? How was I going to cope with, being alone, us all the time? coping with changing family dynamics. My husband started working from home and he still continues to work from home. So that's definitely a changing dynamic because we are all home together pretty much 24/7. So, that's definitely a different dynamic. So what's the point of coping? What is the reframing that happens here? It's really difficult because I feel like this time really calls us to go internal, right? And, the time of pregnancy is such a time of moving inward, getting intuitive, going internal with your thoughts, feelings, kind of shutting out a lot of the external world in some capacity for a lot of people. And it's difficult in this context because everyone is sort of walking their own path during this time. Everyone is sort of making decisions, honestly, based on their intuition and what seems to feel right to them based on their situation and risk factors and everything like that. So moving forward, believing that all people in the core of their being have positive intentions in mind. I found my power, I think, by turning inward and focusing on what I could do for myself. And this really turned for me into a deep, deep analysis of my dreams and desires. What were the core burning questions I had about myself and what I needed during my pregnancy and birth? Really turning inward and thinking like, what are my true desires? And, desire is a dirty D word. We don't like to talk about our desires, right? So, at least on a core level, we talk about them very superficially, right? Consumerism, capitalism, all that crap. But, what are our true heart core feelings? What's in the heart center of your desires for your pregnancy and your birth and your postpartum and, your family, right? What are your desires for growing your family? And so for me, I really felt like I needed to turn inward. And my motto really became, everything you need lies within. Everything you need lies within. And I told myself this, and I found a lot of power through that in my pregnancy, my birth experience. That's not to say that you have to do everything by yourself. Certainly not. But that you hold the answers inside you, and there is not some external power that is going to magically, come and save you, come in and take control of your life, and suddenly make this different. So, I really worked hard to internalize that and work on, building some more self-sufficiency skills, focusing on self-care, learning fun, amazing ways to care for myself during pregnancy was crazy, nutso empowering. And I really, really, really enjoyed that during this pregnancy. So, I really feel like that is something to super think about during this time. And as a doula, I certainly believe that you have everything inside you that you need to birth your baby. I really believe that, just this motto, everything you need lies within. Everything you need lies within. So, if you feel like this mantra resonates with you and you feel like you want to move forward in this time, thinking more about this, I encourage you to, this coming week, I have a new blog post coming up that is sort of my summary of all of my, reflections and thoughts about the effects of this time. And, I keep saying this time like it's, some forbidden thing to talk about. During the COVID-19 pandemic, my reflections on having a pandemic pregnancy and birth, and sort of my spiritual and soul outreach to anybody else going through this also. So yeah, look for that blog post coming up soon. It will be out this week. Wednesday's blog day. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. If you want to stay in touch and you want to keep continuing to get more information, you want to, look further into working together, go ahead, go onto my website, mindfulmamabirthing.com. Go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. It'll pop up right there on your screen, and you'll get tons of information. I share resources, promo codes for the shop, and I have some amazing new offerings coming out for 2021 that I'm super, super pumped about. A couple things that have actually been years in the making finally coming to fruition, and I'm super, super excited about that. So yeah, and I also have some new items coming up in the shop. So definitely go ahead and check those out. If you feel like you really want to get in touch with your core desires for your pregnancy and birth, your dreams and desires, and incorporate that into your birth planning process, definitely check out my birth planning guide. And you actually get a copy for free if you sign up for my newsletter. So yeah, so think about that this week. If you are sitting with a lot of these heavy feelings, this sense of like anxiety, it makes me think a lot about, in Harry Potter, when the Dementors sweep in, that like darkness and that just like the world and the gloom trying to suck everything out of you, right? Think about that, and, maybe think about how this sits with you. Everything you need lies within. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great